In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Now get set again. Daenerys Targaryen. She says she is the mother of dragons. But would you trust her with your kids? Her father was a maniac. She palled around with Dothraki terrorists. She asked the city of Karth for a government bailout. Then she lost 3 baby dragons after placing them in an unlocked wooden box. An unlocked wooden box. This Khaleesi wants to be queen of the 7 kingdoms, but can she be trusted? Daenerys Targaryen. Wrong for dragons. Wrong for the realm. Paid for by the Committee to Protect Dragons.
We don't know anything about him.
He was never really vetted.
Is he really the true-born son of Robert Baratheon?
All over the 7 kingdoms, people are asking the same question. Who is the real King Joffrey? The people of Westeros are hurting. Winter is coming. Crop yields are falling, and the price of fuel is going up.
The cost of peat moss is through the thatched roof.
And this young and inexperienced king takes advice from a whoremongering imp and has launched an illegal war in the north. What is King Joffrey hiding? This is not our kind of family values. King Joffrey. What a bastard.
What a bastard.
Paid for by the Baratheons for freedom. Robb Stark. He's the biggest celebrity in the North. But his father was a traitor. He arrested his own mother. His bastard brother deserted the Night's Watch. And he couldn't defend his own castle. Worst of all, Robb Stark hasn't stopped the wildlings from invading our lands and taking our jobs. He even has an illegal alien for a nanny. And now he wants to be king in the north? King? Some people say he's really a wolf. Some people say he eats dead people. We can't wait until it's too late. Send a raven to Winterfell now and tell Robb Stark to go back home. Stop eating dead people and defend the damn wall. This ad paid for by Crossbows GPS.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
When you can't find anything to watch on cable, you get bored. When you get bored, you listen to radio cooking shows. When you listen to radio cooking shows, you invite a friend over for dinner. When you invite a friend over for dinner, you use twice as many beans. When you use twice as many beans, you expel deadly farts that kill your friend's dog. When you kill your friend's dog, your friend becomes unstable. When your friend becomes unstable, you're sued for everything you're worth. When you're sued for everything you're worth, you're thrown to the streets. When you're thrown to the streets, you devote your life to world domination. When you devote your life to world domination, you become an evil fascist overlord. When you become an evil fascist overlord, old friends plot their revenge. When old friends plot their revenge, you are shot in the back of the head. And when you're shot in the back of the head, you miss your jazzercise appointment. Don't miss your jazzercise appointment. Upgrade to Indirect TV. Go online or call 1-800-ERECT-TV.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven Ultra-Lipo Stick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on Ultra-Lipo Stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using Ultra-Lipo Stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra-Lipo Stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used Ultra-Lipo Stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra-Lipo Stick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra-Lipo Stick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans, and I might add to all my fellow liberty lovers around the globe. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still, yes, and I checked again today, as I do almost every day. The motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Monday, April the 27th in the year of our Lord 2015, as we begin our week. You know, the weekend was ripe with activity. And I, you know, let me just start out. I will address the Baltimore stuff. So bear with me, folks. I had a very busy weekend. It's hard I don't like to really go into detail about this kind of stuff because I don't want it to seem like I'm arrogant or I'm getting a big head or that I'm doing too much self-promoting on this program, because the program really, I may kid about it sometimes, but the program really is not about me. The program is really about the message that I have, and the message is nothing more than freedom, limited government, and letting people, not only in this country, but all over the globe, live as God intended them to live. Free. Free of oppression, free of all kinds of things, and free to be the best human being that they can possibly be. And that, in order for people to become the best human being that they possibly can be, the best child of God that they can possibly be, is with as little government intervention in their daily life as possible. And if you notice, I changed my opening simply because I have been remiss in acknowledging that people from across the globe actually listen to this program. And they have basically since I first started. If people don't listen to the program, then they wouldn't be calling me from Great Britain. They wouldn't be calling me from Israel. They wouldn't have called me from Australia and other places as well. I would not be getting calls from within the United States from people who hail from different countries, who immigrated here legally. So I have to acknowledge them because the United States stands for something. It stands for liberty and freedom the whole world over. This is not just a fight for us. And I know sometimes it seems that way, but it's not. To get back to our founding father roots and getting back to the Constitution and getting our government back to being responsive to the people and understand that they are to govern us, not to rule us. This is not just a fight for us. This is a fight for everybody in the world who looks to the United States for leadership and for opportunity. People come here from all over the planet still to this day. I mean, people will risk their lives to this day to get to our shores. And it can't be all for naught. It can't be for nothing. Over the weekend, I did a number of different things. I was doing some interviews and I participated in some roundtables and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. I will admit that it was. I had fun. But more importantly is that I believe that the message of freedom and my message of freedom, message of liberty, message of limited constitutional government is starting to get noticed. And one of the things I want to address is I was talking to some people on the air, and a number of different things and subjects arose out of this conversation. And it really highlights. Now, it's different when you read stuff and you watch the news and you read the lamestream media and the mainstream media and all that kind of stuff. But it's different when it comes to actually hearing a liberal trying to espouse what they think they believe. And what I heard over the weekend was a wake-up call for me. It really was a massive wake-up call. And it really illustrated and I'm going to use the term, the level and depth of infection of liberalism in this country. Now, sure, I understood it before. I knew it before. But what it really did this weekend was really open my eyes to the extent and the depth and depravity of this. I don't know how many. One of the things that I heard on morning shows this morning, morning radio programs. I don't listen to talk radio in the morning. I like to get away from that a little bit and listen to what usually is just supposed to be fun morning stuff, morning news, and the like. And today's topics across the three stations that I listened to were just replete with the Bruce Jenner story. Now, I was a little bit shocked and amazed. Now, I knew people were going. I mean, what was it? The number was the Diane Sawyer interview was like one of the things that they pointed out was Diane Sawyer's apparent age, but the lack of how she looked that age and that she was still beautiful. I don't know why it's all that important for a woman to be beautiful when she's supposed to be a news person. But look, I understand the visual aspect of things. I really do. And I also understand that a lot of males probably watch certain newscasts because the female news anchor is probably prettier than some of the other news anchors. That's men are visual. That's going to happen. It may even be subconscious for most men, but it's there. But the biggest part was about Bruce. And I'm thinking to myself, we've got the Middle East on fire. And now we've got, what's going on in Baltimore. Baltimore is on fire, literally and figuratively. But people were fascinated by this man going on the air to try to explain why he's now a woman. Now, first of all, understand this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but so you understand where I'm coming from. Look, Bruce Jenner can change his exterior all he wants. His DNA, his insides still say he's male. Plain and simple. That's all I'm going to say about it, because it is disgusting that people are paying more attention to that than what is actually happening to them via our government on a daily basis. And that doesn't seem to bother them at all. Except, when they run into the government. And look, the more regulation and more laws that we pile on the American people, the bigger your chance is on a daily basis you're going to run afoul and you're going to have a run-in with the government. And at that particular time, a lot of people, including liberals, they realize, wait a minute. Hey, first of all, I didn't know that was a law or regulation. That doesn't really make any sense. And two, I'm a good person. We always hear this. I'm a good person. As if that's an excuse to break the law. But they always say, I'm a good person. Well, according to the government, when you break the law, you're not a good person. It's a wake-up call for them, and some of them actually wake up enough to realize, well, this is not what I thought or wanted. And then you have people that, well, they just double down on liberal. Well, I'm really a good person, but I should have known better. No, you shouldn't have. Because a lot of these laws and regulations really are trying to regulate what you believe. Clinton was out there talking about Christians especially, we need to change our faith. We need to change the word of God in order to allow more abortions. Why do we need more abortions? Look, I saw something this weekend that, there's very little out there that scares me to death. But it scared me to death. And one of the reasons it scared me to death is because it's true. It's factual. Here in the West, and I'm, talking Europe as well as, the Western Hemisphere. Here in the West, we seem to think that it's okay to kill our unborn children. Well, we're noticing across the West, Western civilization, that live birth rates are falling dramatically. And they are in the negative right now all across the West. There is not, there isn't a single nation that I saw in this report in the West that we call the West that has a positive birth rate. In other words, parents are having less than 2 children on average per couple. So we're not even replacing the parents. We're falling behind. But there is a group that is producing and going forth and being fruitful because they don't allow abortion. And that's Islam. They don't allow it. And that what is happening is without shots being fired, Islamists are taking over Western nations. How? By not only immigration, but once they get there, they have more children than the natural-born citizens of that country. So within a matter of time, before the 22nd century gets here, many Western nations are going to be at least 50% Muslim. Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? They are going to be at least 50% Muslim. Now that means they don't have to war anymore in order to take over government. And yet we're here, United States and Canada, we're following the same pattern. And as a matter of fact, I have to mention it according to this program, and I checked on it, and the program is dead accurate, that if it wasn't for Latino immigration, legal and illegal in this country right now, we would also have a negative birth rate. And that negative birth rate would be usurped by Muslims. And there would be a time in this country when Muslims take over. Now, understand, this is serious. Now, sure, by the time this actually comes to fruition, many of us probably will not be alive, but I guarantee you your children and your grandchildren will be. Look, folks, I have made a determination, and I made it a long time ago, actually, that because of this and because of what's happening in the Middle East right now, World War III is inevitable. Unless we take some action and get strong leadership all across the Western world. Now, understand, we have to take a page. We have to go to the East to understand this, except for Indonesia. Asian countries do not allow Islam to take over. They won't allow it. China won't allow it. Oh, no. China may not like religion, but let me tell you something. They will not stand for Islam. Even Putin has found himself in trouble with Islamists because Russia can be taken over, which is why he's trying to make nice with Iran, because it may be too late for even Russia and Putin to do something. Now, that's pretty bad when we have to look at Putin for American leadership. That's pretty bad. But let me tell you something. Some of the things that the left are so fixated on, erroneously fixated on, because they just don't understand the facts and how things actually work, is that they're fixated on things like student loan debt. Now, I fully understand that student loan debt is bad in this country. People owe a lot of money to college. But the blame is not being placed where it needs to be. People are blaming, the left is blaming banks and the interest rate that they're charging. Now, forget the fact that, the federal Obama and the federal government have really decided to put the hammer down and regulate interest rates on student loans, on most student loans. And so student loan interest rates are in the single digits. But you got people like Elizabeth Warren out there who are saying, well, the problem is that banks are charging 6 and 7% instead of 3%. So let's cut the interest rate in half. Okay. Is that really going to change the fact that they're spending $200,000 for a 4 or 5 year degree? No. They're still spending a massive amount of money. So that's one of the things that the left is continuing to focus on. It's a stupid focus because they're focusing on the wrong thing. Climate change. Look, I don't know how many times we have to go over climate change. There is no such thing as man-made global warming. There is no such thing as man-made global climate change. And of course, they always point out, well, we have the CO2 counts. No, BS on the CO2 counts. There is stuff called geological weather. It's a science. And basically what they do is you have these geologists and archaeological weather. What they do is they find these pockets that look like they have been sealed up since the time they were first sealed up. And these geologists and these archaeologists, they try to tap into those containers or sealed containers, no matter how big they are, to try to measure and see what the air quality was back in that day. And they can measure it. And look, they can see the natural fluctuation of CO2 levels in our atmosphere. And then they go back and they try to compare them with the weather data, historical weather data from those time periods. And they notice there really is not much of a correlation because our CO2 levels are not and they always point out, well, look at Venus. Our CO2 levels are nowhere near those levels. And CO2 is a natural gas. We can't control it. All mammals exhale it. It's part of life. Our plants, when they're not involved in photosynthesis, which is during the day when the sun is shining, they're also exhaling CO2. So this whole notion that we're and you have to understand that people are starting to understand this, so they're starting to say that there are other gases that are just as bad or probably worse than CO2, because every time science begins to take hold that refutes their stupid notions, they have to change it in order to change their science, their so-called science, in order to remain relevant. They're not relevant. They're searching for something because they want to control you. Plain and simple. That's all it is. We're talking about we talked a lot about insurance. How people can't afford health insurance. Well, part of the problem is, and the big problem, is that government overregulation of the health insurance industry. And now we've come to the point where we have Obamacare, and I've got some Obamacare news for you. We've come to the point of Obamacare where many Americans have seen their health insurance costs, skyrocket. Now, we were told that this whole Affordable Care Act law was supposed to reduce most Americans' insurance costs, and they were going to get better coverage at a lower cost. And we're finding out that most Americans are getting less coverage for more cost and more out-of-pocket cost. Their deductibles have shot up. Their monthly insurance premium has shot up. And liberals are wondering, well, why don't you like this? Well, one, we didn't want it in the first place. The vast majority of Americans didn't want it in the first place. And two, we definitely don't want it now because it is controlling too much of our life. Hell, it's to the point now where if you don't have health insurance, you will find yourself at some point in jail. Well, then you will have government health insurance while you're in jail. So you will be covered whether you like it or not. We talked about stupid things like PBS funding and how supposedly Republicans want to cut public broadcasting funding. And all the time they're also talking about how big business, they get all these tax breaks and everything. Well, how about PBS getting tax breaks? Not the broadcasting network itself, But all of those do you realize how large Sesame Street and the Children's Television Workshop is? It is a big business. Huge. Even one of my favorite programs, This Old House, is big business. People have this erroneous notion, PBS is not for profit. Well, sure, the network is, but not their programs. I mean, they call them legendary documentary filmographer Ken Burns. Yeah, he's a very wealthy man. How did he get wealthy? By making and producing these very lengthy documentaries. Why aren't these companies, these businesses, propping up PBS? Why is it that the taxpayer has to do that now? It's nothing more than a lot of programs. We used to hear about cartoons being half-hour commercials. Well, the PBS programs are nothing more than half-hour, an hour-long, or extended commercials. I mean, this is just the way it is. But this is what we're arguing about. Instead of trying to save our country and save the West, and saving freedom, we're talking about Bruce Jenner turning into a woman who's still a man. And even he doesn't even fully believe he's a woman because evidently he hasn't chosen a female name yet. Now, I don't know about you, but none of that seems to make sense to me. I mean, what are we thinking about here?
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With a Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
Welcome back, my fellow Americans and fellow liberty lovers. You know, look, one of the things that the left also has a problem with is with our military. They always have, and they probably always will. And that's just really sad to think about. And that's one of the things that we talked about as well over the weekend in some of those roundtables. And that's, you know, how much we spend on military. Now, when you have a nation of 320, 330 million people like we do, and as large, you know, land mass wise as ours, and having, you know, a good portion of three of our borders covered by open water. You know, and for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, I'm talking about the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, folks tend to forget about that. Now, there's a very good portion of our southern border that is water. You know, it's not land that's connected with Mexico. So we have to have a Navy that can a Navy and a Coast Guard that can adequately protect all those shorelines. We're talking miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of shoreline. That costs money. Now, you also have to understand that our Constitution specifically directs our federal government to handle the protection from outside forces via the military. It directs it. The Constitution directs our federal government to spend money on that. It does not direct our federal government to spend money on social programs. Not a single one. Nope. Not one. That's stuff that is to be left up to the states. And if you want to have a welfare state, then you can move to the state that wants to be a welfare state. And if you want to live in a state that is more free, you know, like Alaska or New Hampshire, you can move to states that don't have a welfare state. But when you have the federal government acting that way and directing via mandated, funded mandates and unfunded mandates, not to mention its own budget for such things, then you don't get to escape it. Because it's being foisted on all of us, whether we want it or not. We don't have a choice. But, if we don't have a military that can withstand an external attack, then everything that we're talking about and fighting over, even on the liberal side, is a moot point. Liberals are look, a lot of Americans are starting to wake up to this. And as a matter of fact, here's a story about that from the Christian Science Monitor. Liberty University. It talks about the rise of a really big conservative college. And parents might ask, well, where can I send my kids where they're not going to be indoctrinated into the left? Well, here's one. Liberty University now claims more than 100,000 students, including nearly 14,000 who took classes on campus. Now, the university's 7,000 plus acres are part campus, part construction zone with a $500 million construction program. Liberty University doesn't take federal funding. So how is it that they're able to grow? They're not charging, excuse me, they're not charging $200,000 or $250,000 for a 4 or 5 year degree. No. They're a lot more affordable than that. And students are flocking there. Now, what you will see with the success of Liberty University, because supply and demand. You'll see some existing universities really start to restructure themselves, get new faculty, get new management that will start to turn them into more conservative Constitution teaching colleges like Liberty University. You'll also probably start to see the rise of new colleges and universities springing up to cater to this new generation of those who want to learn more about our founding fathers and the true spirit of this country. And I welcome it. It's about time. It's about dang time. Yeah, and it's necessary. But some people, they might just they're throwing their hands up and saying it's too late. No, I say it's never over. And some people say it's not over till the fat lady sings. I say it's not over until the fat lady finishes singing. It's not over until the last person who believes in liberty and freedom is dead. Then it's over. Not until then. This whole notion that we have to give up is what the left wants you to believe. That's redonkulous. Don't give up. We are making strides in progress. Not as fast as most of us would like, but we are making strides in progress. And we have to keep pressing for that change. We have to keep pressing for that change in course. We have to keep pressing for a reversal in all levels of government, not just the federal level. Do not focus only on the federal level. Because you know what? Even if we cannot really make all that much headway on the federal level, it can be stopped still on the local and state level by having strong Constitution-loving, Constitution-believing, founding father, knowledgeable individuals who are elected at the local and state level who are willing to stand up to the Fed. That's how we will stop it. That is how we will stop it. So this whole notion that, the Republicans and the Democrats are all the same. On the federal level, you might be almost completely accurate. There's a lot of similarities with the leadership of the Republican Party and the Democrats. Absolutely, I agree. But we can get governors that will stand up to this crap. We can get state legislatures that will stand up to this crap. We can get local city council people and mayors to stand up to this crap. And we have to be careful not to elect people on the local level, mayors especially, who will fall into this crap. Speaking of mayors who fall into this crap, the city of Baltimore mayor, she's under fire about her statement about allowing the riots to take place down there well, I say down there because it's south of me, so down there in Baltimore. Let me tell you something about the Baltimore riots. This is not about police brutality. This is not about police arrogance or incompetence. This is not about justice for Mr. Gray and his family. Oh, no, not at all. This is opportunity for the left. This is opportunity for those who do not believe in law and order. This is opportunity for those who just want to take advantage of a situation like this and profit from it. I mean, I don't know how you expect to garner change when you destroy neighborhoods, when you destroy private property. There is no change, that positive change is going to come out of that. And to have a mayor who will not act in a manner that will contain such egregious behavior is beyond me in this country. I mean, it is so bad that the governor of Maryland has declared a state of emergency, pretty much usurping the power of the mayor. As well, the governor should. Because now you have police officers who had nothing to do with whatever happened to Mr. Gray being punished, being injured, being threatened. And no, unfortunately, at some point, there are going to be police officers that die because of this. Now, if you've listened to this program long enough, that I am not a person that gives into a police state. I do not believe in a police state. However, I do believe in law and order. I do believe that we have mechanisms in place that can allow serious, real change. This is not the mechanism to do that. Martin Luther King pretty much showed us the pattern that works. Peaceful protest, not angry, violent riots. Angry, violent riots in this country have rarely changed anything, except for the fact that it really, the people that they could have persuaded to be on their side, they've now polarized them against you. If you are one of those people that believe in rioting, you will polarize people that you could have convinced to come to your side to be against you. And look, there are a number of blacks who do not espouse and believe in this type of stuff. It's not just whites. It's brown people too. They're saying this is enough. All right, how do you say that you are protesting against what happened if you're protesting police behavior and what happened to Mr. Gray? By breaking into, looting, and destroying a CVS drugstore. What did that CVS drugstore do? Nothing. It's just a business that's out there to sell a product and service. How about in Ferguson, where something similar happened? All those businesses, including many black-owned businesses, how were they at fault? But you looted, you destroyed, and burned to the ground a lot of them, putting them out of business, destroying their livelihood so they can no longer be a positive contributor to the neighborhood that you say needs positive contribution. How do you destroy something and then complain that there isn't a positive contribution in that neighborhood? You can't destroy a neighborhood and then complain there's nobody who's willing to put invest in your neighborhood. Well, no, they're going to look at it and say, well, geez, every time you guys get upset, you're going to, burn down my business. Why would I invest in your neighborhood then? And this is something that a lot of people are starting to come to realize, unfortunately. And some people told me, they say, Rod, I bet you many of those people down there who are rioting and looting right now in Baltimore are not even from that neighborhood. And probably not even from, Baltimore. They're probably right. They're probably bussed in. They probably drive in order to cause trouble. And then they leave and go home to their relatively safe, quiet, non-rioting neighborhoods and leave death and destruction behind in somebody else's. This is not how you affect change. This is by far the worst way that you can even attempt to try to effect change. Not going to happen. In fact, it's all it's going to serve to do is to have a bunch of lawmakers, especially liberal ones, create and pass more laws that will restrict your freedom and liberty and your ability to make decisions for yourself and your neighborhood. They'll take that away from you. And they'll use this as a propaganda tool to give themselves credibility to do that. Yeah, it's all about perception. And look, just like the Boston Marathon bomber. After looking at this retrospectively, at first I was shocked. During the Boston Marathon, the police, and let's face it, Boston, Massachusetts, very liberal, they were making fiat decisions. No backpacks, in the race area, no blankets, lots of restrictions. And I was taken aback by listening to these radio hosts in the morning who seemed to think that was a good idea. And anybody who was against that was just a fool. Well, actually, they're the fools. Because we're letting the government decide as something innocuous as whether or not we can have just because somebody decided to make a bomb out of a pressure cooker and put it in a backpack and leave it somewhere, it automatically means you can't, that they're going to stop future bombs by not allowing backpacks. Is that the only way you can bring a bomb to an event? Well, absolutely not. But it gives a false sense of security to the people around you by saying, hey, no backpacks. So all those people who have gone to the many Boston Marathons before and who carried backpacks and had no thought or intent on being destructive, well, now they can't because of the actions of two men. So two men still hold a city hostage. How do you affect change? By limiting people's ability to live. You can't affect change that way. How do you affect change when you believe that police are being brutal, overly brutal, when you give them cause to be brutal? I mean, let's face it. You're down there destroying public and private property, and now you're injuring and nearly killing police officers. And because of that, there are going to be laws now that are going to come out. There are going to be city ordinances that are going to come out of this that are going to limit the law-abiding citizens' rights, their liberty, their access, simply because of a few people. The vast majority of us are law-abiding citizens, but because of the actions of an extreme minority, we are now going to have our vast majority liberties, freedoms, and choices either eliminated or severely limited. That's not how you affect change. Because at some point, you're going to push the majority too far. And then all hell will break loose. You know, there has never been a time in history when the general public, when the government has become so oppressive, the general public does not rise up in some fashion or another. You know, if you're not defeated from without, you are going to be defeated from within. History is replete with this. Over and over again. You know, this is how dictators don't generally last. This is how, you know, I mean, and these dictators, they have to become more and more and more restrictive and brutal. I mean, hell, look at North Korea. The only way that they're able to keep control over there is by being as brutal as possible. Overly brutal. The only way that Cuba stays the way Cuba stays is because they're brutal down there. People just don't have any freedom. They don't have the opportunity to make life better for themselves, unless, of course, they completely buy into the government propaganda line. And they pledge undying loyalty. Then they'll have a way to make life better for them and their families. But they'll do it by brutalizing and oppressing their fellow citizens. Now, is that the way you really want to affect change? That is not the way that you affect change in a free society. You can affect change by protest, peaceful protest. But the change that you are going to affect with violent riot is to be answered with more laws, less freedom. And that's the way history has shown it always works. You know, people have a right to survive. The people have a right for their government to survive. You know, if that government is supposed to be for the people, of the people, by the people. But that government, you know, of the people, by the people, for the people, is going to change dramatically if some of the people keep acting out and keep acting up and abusing their privilege. And no, I'm not saying that protesting is a privilege. We have a God-given right to be able to express our pleasure or displeasure with our leaders. You know, this is, you know, we elect them, they work for us, so they, you know, we have a right to express our pleasure or displeasure for what they do. But they're limiting us on how we can affect that displeasure, how we can express that displeasure, how we can tell them about our disdain. Oh, now they're going to come out with laws that are going to limit your ability to come together. They're going to limit your ability to gather. They're going to limit the number of people that can gather in one place. And if you try to exceed that, even though if you're being totally peaceful, and there is no intent in anybody's heart or mind to start some sort of violent reaction or riot, they will accuse you of conspiring to do so, and the leadership of those who put this group together or that event together will end up going to jail. Look, folks, don't doubt me on this, folks. This is the progress that nations take to go from freedom to less freedom to no freedom. You have to understand it. You have to recognize it before you can stop it, change it, reverse it. And you have to understand that what's going on in Baltimore right now is not something that is good for freedom, because it has nothing to do with freedom. It has everything to do with oppression. You know, you can't fight oppression with more oppression. You know, it'd be the same thing as saying, okay, World War II. You know, well, we're gonna beat the hell out of the Nazis and defeat the Nazis, but then we're gonna let communism take over. Which, by the way, we did. So you're going to trade one oppressor for another one. You're going to trade one brutal dictator for another one. How does that help the general population? It doesn't. It only helps those who are in power. And understand, people in those types of positions do not share power. And they will be as brutal as they possibly can to prevent the sharing of that power. They are not going to allow you or anyone else to take that power away. Once they have it, once you give it to them, they do not let go of it willingly, even when you ask them nicely. It always takes blood. Now I ask you, do you want the riots of Ferguson, in Baltimore, and in other places to require your blood, your family's blood, your posterity's blood to change it? To come back around? Are you going to require that? So once again, freedom and liberty can ring true and reign in the Western world? I don't think so.
Daenerys Targaryen. She says she is the mother of dragons. But would you trust her with your kids? Her father was a maniac. She palled around with Dothraki terrorists. She asked the city of Karth for a government bailout. Then she lost 3 baby dragons after placing them in an unlocked wooden box. An unlocked wooden box. This Khaleesi wants to be queen of the 7 kingdoms, but can she be trusted? Daenerys Targaryen. Wrong for dragons. Wrong for the realm. Paid for by the Committee to Protect Dragons.
We don't know anything about him.
He was never really vetted.
Is he really the true-born son of Robert Baratheon?
All over the 7 kingdoms, people are asking the same question. Who is the real King Joffrey? The people of Westeros are hurting. Winter is coming. Crop yields are falling, and the price of fuel is going up.
The cost of peat moss is through the thatched roof.
And this young and inexperienced king takes advice from a whoremongering imp and has launched an illegal war in the north? What is King Joffrey hiding? This is not our kind of family values. King Joffrey. What a bastard.
What a bastard.
Paid for by the Young Baratheons for freedom. Robb Stark. He's the biggest celebrity in the North. But his father was a traitor. He arrested his own mother. His bastard brother deserted the Night's Watch. And he couldn't defend his own castle. Worst of all, Robb Stark hasn't stopped the wildlings from invading our lands and taking our jobs. He even has an illegal alien for a nanny. And now he wants to be king in the North? King? Some people say he's really a wolf. Some people say he eats dead people. We can't wait until it's too late. Send a raven to Winterfell now and tell Robb Stark to go back home. Stop eating dead people and defend the damn wall. This ad paid for by Crossbows GPS.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up. with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
When you can't find anything to watch on cable, you get bored. When you get bored, you listen to radio cooking shows. When you listen to radio cooking shows, you invite a friend over for dinner. When you invite a friend over for dinner, you use twice as many beans. When you use twice as many beans, you expel deadly farts that kill your friend's dog. When you kill your friend's dog, your friend becomes unstable. When your friend becomes unstable, you're sued for everything you're worth. When you're sued for everything you're worth, you're thrown to the streets. When you're thrown to the streets, you devote your life to world domination. When you devote your life to world domination, you become an evil fascist overlord. When you become an evil fascist overlord, old friends plot their revenge. When old friends plot their revenge, you are shot in the back of the head. And when you're shot in the back of the head, you miss your jazzercise appointment. Don't miss your jazzercise appointment. Upgrade to Indirect TV. Go online or call 1-800-DIRECT-TV.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven ultra-lipo-stick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on ultra-lipo-stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using ultra-lipo-stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra-lipo-stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used ultra-lipo-stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra-lipo-stick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra-lipo-stick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
You know, when you decide that you're going to limit one faction of society's liberty, it really limits everyone's liberty. When you because it's just going to get to the point where it actually applies to you as well. And when things start to apply to you, a lot of people do not like it. And this is pretty much where the gay agenda, the radical gay agenda is going. They want people to not be able to deny them anything, no matter what their religious beliefs are. And what's going to end up happening is that laws are going to be created that equally apply to them when they do not agree with somebody. I'll wait for the day when when a person walks into a gay-owned shop and wants something that is pretty much, very straight supporting and anti-gay, and they will not be able to deny them because they work so hard to deny somebody else their right to associate with whom they wanted to associate with. And, then we're going to see more protests and possibly riots. Not to be disparaging, but I think riots of glitter is a lot better than riots of rocks and bottles. Hello, my fellow Americans and liberty lovers across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere in the great granite state of New Hampshire. And, of course, a bunkerized studio is probably going to be needed in the near future as, if people want to continue rioting, at least I'll be able to continue to broadcast the truth and liberty to you. Yeah, the state is New Hampshire. The state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And as we move right along here on this Monday, April the 27th in the year of our Lord 2015 evening, we continue with the voice of reason, the voice of logic, me. Somebody said that to me over the weekend. Man, you're the voice of logic. And you know what? I like that. I am the voice of logic. And it's only logical for people to want to have things their own way. But you have to remember that logically speaking, it's only going to end up harming you in the long run. It may not take that long. And I give the example of the radical gay agenda. Well, as for instance, we know about the GoFundMe for Sweet Cakes by Melissa on GoFundMe was canceled. If you didn't know that, then you've been hiding under a rock all weekend. But GoFundMe cancels the fundraising campaign. Now they've already the Melissa's Sweet Cakes by Melissa was the company that refused to bake a cake for a gay wedding, lesbians actually, and they filed a complaint, a legal complaint, and the state fined them, $135,000. Well, there was a GoFundMe campaign that was started, and it raised to date $105,000. But then the radical gay left, complained to GoFundMe that this was unfair and that it was wrong. And GoFundMe bent into the radical liberal leftist agenda and decided it'd be easier to cancel and stop them from raising money. Now, you know what? It's not going to stop Sweet Cakes by Melissa from raising money. I guess what they really didn't want, it was like Memories Pizza raising nearly $1 million in order to help them get back on their feet and back in business. And they were afraid the same thing would happen with Melissa fundraising campaign. But I think what this is only going to do is probably help her to eclipse that $1 million mark. And she's going to be able to expand her business way beyond. But she's going to, of course, they're going to attack her again. The radical left is going to try to attack her again. And they're only going to succeed into limiting their own freedom. Because right now, hey, you're not allowed to refuse a gay. Anything. You're not allowed. That is their thought process. We don't care, so they say, what beliefs you have. Because, and surprisingly so, you have some people on the right who think, well, if you're in business, you have to serve everybody. No, I do not. I have the right to associate with and do business with whom I choose to associate and do business with. And I hear a lot, especially people on the left, and they're kind of shocked, coming from me. Well, Rod, what about, civil rights and you're not being able to eat? No, it's not the same. I don't know where this, trust me, the notion that gay rights is the equivalent of black civil rights or minority civil rights did not come from minorities. It came from the white, radical, liberal left. They're the ones that tried to make the comparison because they knew that if they made that comparison, well, then the rest of the country in general would not be able to resist their requirement of said so-called equality. But what they were asking for was super rights over people who do not agree with them and people who are not like them. All blacks asked for, and minorities asked for, was just to be treated equally. They didn't ask for special treatment. They didn't go into a bakery and say, okay, we want you to make a Black Panther cake here. You know, they didn't go into a KKK owned bakery and say, make a Black Panther cake. That's not what blacks were doing. That wasn't even a part of their thought process. But here, you have black, you know, if they wanted a Black Panther cake, they went into a black-owned bakery. But here, you know, the radical liberal left and gay agenda folks, well, they seek out people who do not agree with them. They're not interested in going to another gay-owned bakery and spending their money there, which they should. They should go to somebody like that. You know, there's a here in New England, there's something called the Pink Pages. It's basically, the book, most of the pages in the book are pink, actually. And it's kind of like the Yellow Pages. Remember the Yellow Pages phone book? Well, this is called the Pink Pages, and it lists in its pages gay-owned and gay-friendly businesses. So I'm sure there's probably a directory similar in many communities where there's a sizable or significant gay population. So they could go to some sort of publication online or offline like this and determine, it's not very hard to determine who's going to be on their side, if you will. And they can go and spend their money and support them. You know, it's called free market. You know, you support those who you want to support. You don't try and go and destroy somebody else who you don't agree with. That's all this is. And it doesn't cover other things. You know, and we've talked about this before. Like, what happens if now they get their way and courts decide on their side? Well, no, you can't discriminate against gays. Well, it's going to happen where somebody's going to and look, it's going to happen sooner rather than later. You just watch. Don't doubt me on this. Where somebody's going to walk in to a gay-owned bakery or T-shirt shop or what have you and ask for something that a gay person is just going to be totally incensed at supplying. But because they're going to be successful in getting this type of law established, that you cannot deny somebody based on their their faith or their sexual orientation. Well, somebody is going to walk in and say, well, I'm straight and I want, and I'm this, and this, and I want you to bake me a cake for this. And a gay person is going to find it totally repulsive. And they're going to try to deny the service. And that person is going to take them to court. And by law, that gay person is going to lose. And then all hell is going to break loose because they're going to say, well, it's not fair. I get to do this and that. But remember, you on the gay side did the exact same thing. So now you have no leg to stand on. You have no right to protest. It's going to happen. Because once you start taking liberty away from somebody, it is going to eventually affect you. Plain and simple. You know, you don't even have to use it in gay versus straight. You can use it in anything. You know, you're gonna walk down the street and be incensed by somebody having a statue of the Virgin Mary on their property. Well, it burns your eyes, you say, and you're going to have to petition to have laws that prevent this person from ever putting a statue of a Virgin Mary on there. And then you're going to put some sort of statue, like maybe, I don't know, a miniature statue of David on your front lawn. And that person's going to walk by and make the same complaint. And because you've established law and precedence on eliminating things that you don't like, they're going to have the same opportunity. And we can already see that happening across this country. And when people think that they're doing something I'm improving my neighborhood or improving my community, and then all of a sudden it gets turned on, they're like, that's unfair. Well, no, you did the same thing. Now, some people would call that karma. And karma's a you-know-what. You know, there's always this biblical principle, the golden rule. Do unto others, or, in more modern terms, treat others in a way in which you would like to be treated. So if you treat others with disdain and disrespect, then I guess you should really expect to be treated with disdain and disrespect. And to expect anything else or less is just foolishness. Plain and simple. I don't know how else to put it. It's idiocy. If you think you can limit somebody else's freedom without limiting your own, you're an idiot. Plain and simple. I don't know how else to, I'm calling you out. You're an idiot. Plain and simple. If you limit somebody else's freedom, then you better damn well expect yours to be limited as well. But there are a number of people in this country that are starting to fight back, and we can see that in millions of people supporting these businesses who are being attacked for no apparent reason, other than because the radical left wants to make a statement and get laws that they think will end up advancing their cause, when in the end it will simply cause them more pain and suffering than those who they wish to inflict that pain and suffering upon. And by then, they won't be able to get it reversed. Because then they will have to admit that they were hypocritical, that they were idiots, they were stupid, and that they decided to do something that was not good for the general public, and they can never admit that. So they will suffer in silence. Court. This is a WND story. Court. Businesses can refuse to make gay shirts. Now, the ruling finds decision based upon the message, not on sexual orientation. That's right. A Kentucky court has ruled, of course, you know that this is not going to be the end of this story, but a Kentucky court has ruled that under the Constitution's speech and religion protections, a Christian T-shirt printer had the right to refuse a job that would affirm the gay lifestyle. Now, the ruling Monday from the Fayette County Circuit Court conflicts with other decisions, including in Oregon, Washington, and Colorado, that have essentially told Christian business operators that they must violate their religious beliefs to remain in business. Kentucky ruling found that Blaine Adamson, owner of Hands On Originals, was fully within his rights to refuse to produce T-shirts for a gay pride festival in Lexington, Kentucky. Now, the ruling states the government can't force citizens to surrender free speech rights or religious freedom in order to run a small business, and this decision affirms that, said ADF, the senior legal counsel at Jim Campbell, who argued the case before the court. Now, the court highly recognized that the law protects Blaine's decision not to print shirts with messages that conflict with his beliefs, and that no sufficient reason exists for the government to coerce Blaine to act against his conscience in this way. So there is a limited win for the Constitution and for people's basic individual rights and their ability to still associate with whom they wish to associate with and not be penalized for that association in any way. I mean, because let's face it, if that's why haven't we outlawed the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan? Let's be real with this here. If we're going to take this to its logical conclusion with the radical gay agenda, why have we not outlawed? If you want to get rid of bigotry and hatred, why have we not outlawed the KKK? Well, because it would be unconstitutional to even try to do so. Now, trust me, I am not a KKK fan. I am not. I think they're loathsome people. However, they have a right to believe as they want to believe and express themselves as they want to express themselves and to associate with whom they want to associate with. They can hate me all they want. That's their problem. That's their life, not mine. I can look, you can do whatever you want. try to get these Christian-owned businesses to accept your business, all you're going to end up doing is giving them money in which they will use to try to block or turn around your beliefs. And there's, unless you decide to go down the road of eliminating and making it illegal to be against gays, period, well, in which case you're going to have to severely limit somebody's constitutional and God-given rights. Well, then it's going to also affect you in that same way. Well, blacks aren't stupid. We understood this about the Constitution. That is why there has never been a serious move to ban the KKK. Because that's stupid. That's plain and total idiocy. And some of you are probably thinking, well, Rod, gay rights are not equivalent to civil rights. You just said that. Yes. But when you're talking about freedom of speech and freedom of religion, it is the same. When you're talking about limiting somebody's rights to express themselves. So, hey, I guess it's okay for the KKK to refuse a black person coming into their business and wanting a Black Panther wedding cake, but it's not okay. It wouldn't be okay for that KKK to refuse a gay person for a gay wedding cake? Is that what you're saying? Leftists? Yes, that is exactly what they're saying. They're saying that they are superior. Their rights are superior to the rest of us. It's back to the old Animal Farm thing. All animals are equal. And then as the novel progresses, it becomes all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Well, if everybody's not equal, if somebody is more equal than somebody else, then there is no equality. Let me repeat that. If somebody is more equal than somebody else, there is no equality. Plain and simple. Speaking of courts, Supreme Court throws out Obamacare contraception ruling. Yes, from Newsmax. The U.S. Supreme Court earlier today reviewed the religious objections by Catholic groups in Michigan and Tennessee to the Obamacare requirement for contraception coverage, throwing out a lower court decision favoring President Obama's administration. Is this a way for Chief Justice Roberts to ingratiate himself with the American people again and trying to correct a wrong that he must obviously realize he made? The justices asked the Cincinnati-based 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to reconsider its decision that backed the Obama administration in light of the Supreme Court's June 2014 ruling that allowed certain privately owned corporations to seek exemptions from the provision. Now, Obama's health care law requires employers to provide health insurance policies that cover preventative services for women, including access to contraception and sterilization, which flies in the face with many Christian and Jewish groups as well, by the way, is Islam. Women in Islam don't get to have contraception and have abortions on demand. Oh, no. They do stuff like that, and it's punishable by death. Frankly. But you notice how all these people who are arguing against, like, the Catholic charities and things like that, Catholic groups, they're just arguing against Catholic groups. They're not bringing the argument to Islam groups. Why? Well, because if they did that, they would lose. Hands down. Now, isn't that amazing? That one group of people with a certain faith are going to be singled out over another group of people of a certain faith who have pretty much the identical religious thought. So it's only on one group. Again, this whole notion that some people are more equal than others. Well, if that's the case, then there is no equality. Plain and simple, there is no equality. So various challengers, including family-owned companies and religious affiliated nonprofits that oppose abortion, and sometimes the use of contraceptives, say the requirement infringes on their religious beliefs. I would also add that it also infringes on their social beliefs. You don't have to be a Catholic to realize or understand or believe that abortion is murder. You don't. You don't have to be a right-wing Christian to believe that abortion is murder. You don't. You don't. And so this whole notion that they're attacking Catholic or Christian groups is a red herring. It's all about them garnering and acquiring their ability to do whatever they damn well please, whenever they damn well please to do it, and to whomever they damn well please to do it to. And this particular case is people, the very people who absolutely have no voice. So it takes the living, because they're not yet born yet, and even if they are born, they're nothing but little infants and babies, so they don't have a voice. So they have to depend on those of us who are living and adults to give them voice, and the left doesn't care who has the voice. But they're going to attack those who do, who have a religious voice. And they specifically avoid certain religions, by the way, that also stand in their way of abortion on demand. But you know what? That's going to affect them too. And there are some people that are more equal than others when it comes to their disdain for the left.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war, as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With a Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
And welcome back, my fellow freedom lovers everywhere. You know, remember the time, it was not so long ago that that the left kept saying that, you know, we couldn't drill our way to energy independence. Well, and those of us on the right kept saying, yeah, you really can. You can definitely do that. And now we are, those of us who are right, as you know, on the right, we usually are right, we're dancing a happy dance about that very notion, that very thing. And that is simply because we had, well, this is from the Telegraph, UK, by the way. And again, it's you got to go offshore sometimes to find onshore stuff. Now, how sad is that? But here's the story. U.S. to launch blitz of gas exports eyes global energy dominance. In other words, there are U.S. energy and gas companies that are looking to make sure that the U.S. is the OPEC, if you will, of natural gas. Now, the U.S. Energy Department prepares a wave of LNG gas permits in the latest move to redraw the world's oil and gas landscape. Now, the United States is poised to flood world markets with once unthinkable quantities of liquefied natural gas as soon as this year, profoundly changing the geopolitics of global energy and posing a major threat to Russian gas dominance in Europe. Now, of course, Putin isn't going to like that. Of course not. So this is what Ernest Moniz of the U.S. Energy Secretary says. We anticipate becoming big players, and I think we'll have a big impact. He said, we're going to influence the whole global LNG market. How about influencing the whole global oil market? Look, we have long known that we've had these huge natural gas reserves. And this is one of the reasons why for a while there was a push to have public transportation, public buses powered by natural gas engines, and why some automobile companies tried to come up with and they did produce in limited quantities natural gas powered vehicles, especially fleet vehicles. Especially like pickups and vans and things like that. They were, to be powered by natural gas because we had such an abundance of it. We've got way more than I've seen estimates that say that we have natural gas reserves to last us for 500 years. I have never seen an estimate less than 150 years. And that's just the known reserves. What happens when we find new reserves? What happens when we find new reserves? The same with oil. Now, what happens when we find new reserves of oil? Well, we know where there's lots of oil, and right now the Obama administration won't let people explore to get at it in certain places. But what happens when we find oil on places that we can get at? Which they do find. And what happens then? I mean, it's unfathomable. The technology to finding this stuff and being able to get at this stuff advances daily almost. So what happens when a large nation with a strong military that can protect those reserves actually decides to tap them? Well, we change the world. That's how. That's what happens. We change the world. We change it for the better. We're not an evil empire, as some on the left would have you believe. We're not. We're not even an empire, but if we were, we're a good empire. And we want everybody to experience what we are experiencing here in the United States, which is, freedom, prosperity, to raise the level of poverty. Now, wouldn't it be nice if the rest of the world's poverty was equal to the poverty in the United States? That level. The rest of the world would not be in poverty anymore. But you have to be able to provide opportunity, and opportunity comes in many forms. And in a country that needs to provide opportunity for its people, its poor people, they need energy to do that. Plain and simple. And we seem to have, which is really kind of interesting, because I wonder how many of these permits are going to be approved by the Obama administration. But understand that they could only slow down this new dominance. They can't prevent it, because there's going to be an administration, hopefully in 2016, that will approve these things, including the Keystone Pipeline and additional oil exploration. And by providing the ability to go after other sources of oil can help bring down the cost of getting that oil. So then we're going to have another oil boom. We're going to have a gas boom. And people are going to experience lower cost in energy, which then translates to lower cost of doing business, which then translates to more opportunity and lower cost of goods and services. Plain and simple. And more people are going to work their way out of poverty. More and people are going to work their way up into the middle class, and more people are going to work their way up into the upper class. Isn't that a nice thought? Eliminating poverty, growing your middle class, and strengthening your upper class. That's a beautiful thing. It is. That's what America's all about. That, my friends, is what America's all about. Opportunity. Plain and simple. Speaking of opportunity, somebody wants to... You see, again, this is this liberal crap. Somebody wants to limit your opportunity and your freedom again. Hawaii is poised to become the first state to raise the smoking age from 18 to 21. Now, again, okay, then maybe if 18 to 21-year-olds are not old enough to make adult decisions, then they're not old enough to vote. I don't know how you can. Well, they're old enough to affect the course of an entire nation and their future, but they're not old enough to drink or smoke. But you're old enough to go into your military, operate multi-million-dollar systems and craft and kill other people in battle, but you're not old enough to imbibe in an adult beverage or smoke a cigarette or utilize a tobacco product because you're not yet 21. And indeed, you might not ever live to see 21. But hey, you know what? We kept you healthy, right? We kept you healthy so you would not imbibe in something so terrible, and you wouldn't ruin your health, and you would be able to live forever. But, you know, you don't get to smoke it, though. You don't get to drink an alcoholic beverage. Honolulu, a bill that would make Hawaii the first state to raise the legal smoking age to age 21, cleared the legislature last Friday and is headed to the governor. The bill would prevent adolescents from smoking, buying, or possessing both traditional and electronic cigarettes. I didn't know you were an adult. I thought you were an adult at 18. Well, adolescents can't vote. It's definitely groundbreaking legislation, said Jessica Yamuchi, executive director of the Coalition for a Tobacco-Free Hawaii, which pushed for the bill. It's amazing to be the first state in something that is very exciting for us. Yes, it's amazing to be the first state that is going to further limit people's freedom. That's amazing. Look, you don't like tobacco, don't use it. Leave those who like to use tobacco alone. They're adults. They get to make their own decision. Look, I know it's not going to happen, but this type of law should be struck down in the Supreme Court. It should be struck down at the state Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court. And frankly, people are probably not going to agree with me on this one, but you know what? It's the same for alcohol. Either you are an adult or you are not. Plain and simple. Either you are an adult with all the privileges of said adulthood, or you are not. If adults do not think that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds are old enough to make decisions as insignificant, really, as these two decisions, then they're not old enough to make more important decisions, such as voting and such as serving in the military. Because let's face it, you got people in the military who are 18 to 20 years old who are making life and death decisions on a daily basis. Life and death. And their decisions will cause somebody to live or somebody to die. Drinking an alcoholic beverage, especially being responsible in drinking an alcoholic beverage, or smoking a cigarette or a cigar or chomping on chewing tobacco, is not going to cause somebody else's death. It's not. Well, sure, if you abuse it, that's a possibility. It's called drunk driving. We all understand that. But we have laws against it. And it's not just, those under 21 who are affected by anti-drunk driving laws. Everybody is. But are you trying to honestly tell me, and a liberal cannot defend their position on this, are you honestly trying to tell me that somebody can have life and death decisions over other people, but they're not mature enough to decide if they want to smoke or have an alcoholic beverage? There is no possible way you can logically argue against that. None. Zip. Zero. Nada. No logical argument whatsoever. There's all this touchy-feely arguments, which, look, at some point, those feelings can change. Yes, no, maybe, possibly. Yeah, well, of course. Public-private college funding. One of the things that on the weekend roundtables that we discussed was the public college funding issue and how it has dropped over the years, causing public college tuition to rise. And, they do have some legitimacy to their argument that, these public institutions were set up and funded by the states to provide a more affordable advanced education, if you will. And yeah, I don't have an issue with that. If a state wants to, if the people of a state want to have an institute of higher learning, that is fine. That's for the state to decide. And how they want to fund it is also for the state to decide. What I'm against is the federal government getting involved in any shape, manner, or form, because their involvement does not belong at the state level like that. Now, if there is no constitutional ability for the government to have its own university outside of military schools, then they really have no business being involved in higher education. Hell, actually, the federal government has no business being involved in education at a lower level either. Again, that's a state issue. No, the government can have and set. They can say, well, we have this national goal that, all kids should learn, math, reading, writing, and arithmetic and stuff like that, and have certain guidelines and levels, but they cannot force the state. They should not be able to force the state to go under certain programs like No Child Left Behind, all that kind of crap, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's a proven fail. Every time the federal government comes out with one of these stupid programs, it ends up being a proven failure. But you know who suffers? Not the politicians. The kids, the students. And then eventually the general public, because the kids grow up to be adults, who then eventually get the opportunity and the legal right to smoke and to drink alcohol. But we're so worried about that we don't realize that we're taking away people's liberty by taking away their right to choose for themselves. But we have all this notion that since public college funding has decreased over the years, that somehow it's the fault of banks. Not the fault of a bank for charging a reasonable amount of interest. Look, if you're going to agree to borrow the money and you agree to pay it back, then how is that the fault of the bank? They're not forcing you to take the money. Well, they can't afford to go to college without taking those loans out. Do you realize that there are businesses out there that earn a lot of money annually by helping students find scholarships and grants? So it reduces the amount that they have to provide out of pocket. And in some cases, they find enough scholarships and grants where they don't pay a dime out of their own pocket. And these businesses are flourishing in this country. And indeed, I've heard people who have these businesses say that they can't handle all the business that comes their way, that they have to limit their clientele. And they can't just all of a sudden grow willy-nilly because, these agents or counselors, they have to be trained and understand and know, just like any other job. So it's not like, a company can just say, okay, I'm going to hire 100 people and in a few days have 100 people working, because that's not how it works. They have to train and supervise these new agents so they're actually able to help potential students who come to them. But it is a growing industry, helping people find grants and scholarships and helping those people navigate the quagmire of paperwork that is necessary for many of these things so they can actually be successful in landing that grant and or scholarship. And again, it's a market thing. People are demanding a product or a service, and then other people are recognizing that demand for that product or service, and they begin to offer ways to satisfy that need for that product or service. And this is one of those needs. But it doesn't mean that we need to start, especially it does not mean that we need to start providing public funds to private colleges. That's their whole goal, is just to simply make college free for everyone, regardless of cost. So in other words, they want the taxpayer to pick up the $200,000 plus college tuition of a Harvard or Yale or Brown or Dartmouth student or what have you. Plain and simple. Because then the person who takes out the loan isn't responsible for the loan. They don't have to pay it back. And that's what they want. They don't want to be responsible for something. Hey, there are places in this country that actually, for example, they give out scholarships for medical. They give out medical scholarships for doctors. Now, in return, when the person becomes a doctor, a medical doctor, they have to go to the community or the state in which gave them the grant or scholarship, and they have to fulfill a term serving the community in that town or city or state. You remember, was it Northern Exposure? I think that's what it was called. When he took this town, this small town in Alaska. They wanted and needed a doctor, a medical doctor. So Mr. Fishman, they paid for his medical degree, and then he was obligated to either repay the loan or the grant that they gave him, or be their doctor for a specific period of time. And once he got there, the whole premise and story is that how he didn't want to be there. Well, he didn't have the money to, skip out on his contract, so he had to stay. But that's the way it is. You have to pay back what you borrow. You have to pay back what you get. If it has strings attached, it's your own fault for accepting the money with the strings attached. It is not the general public. It is not the taxpayer's responsibility to pay back any type of loan or grant given to you. You're the one that signed on the dotted line. You're the one wholly and solely responsible for it. Nobody else. So if you get a degree, I don't care if it's a useless degree or a useful degree, but you cannot find a paying job within your field, well, that is not on the taxpayer. That is on you. For whatever reason, you need to look at yourself and decide that you need to up your game, if you will, or get a different degree and go on a different career path. Because if you can't find a job in your chosen career field, then maybe there is no opportunity for it. And if there's no opportunity, well, then you got to find something else where you can have an opportunity. You can't force opportunity where there is no opportunity unless you want to grow government. And that's the last thing you want to do, is grow government even bigger, because now you're still taking from the taxpayer and you're really not paying it back. You're still having the taxpayer pay for you. And that's not how a free society survives. Not at all. Not at all. Well, folks, we are out of time for today. We'll be back tomorrow. So tune in, same bat time, same bat channel. Don't forget to visit rodeccles.net. See you then, folks.
the leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.